Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode with me, or another live stream. Xana K. This is Grizzly True Crime. Thank you so much all for being here. Happy Saturday if you're watching this live, and if you're watching this from the future on a replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I will put timestamps for you if you're watching the replay in the pinned comments in the description box, and you can hover over the video and just skip to the part that you want to see. That's what I do, because I predominantly do live streams on this channel, even though I do make some videos, but I make it as convenient as possible for anyone watching the replay to just get to what they want to get to. I see there's a lot of people here from all over the world. We do have an international audience here from Brussels, from Australia, from Tokyo, of course, lots from the USA. I hope that you're all having a good weekend. I have been making notes, lots of notes for you, making presentations, and just trying to summarize the court proceedings from yesterday because they were pretty long. It started at 10:30 in the morning in Moscow, Idaho, and then it went on until 6 p.m. But from 10:30 in the morning until 3 p.m., one motion out of 6 was argued. The one about the DNA. That was a long, drawn-out time with lots of experts, and it's all very interesting, but like, damn, we need to just summarize, okay, what's happening? What do we need to look out for? What are we waiting for? What's next, right? So that's what I'm bringing to you today, to save you some time, if that is what you like, okay? That's what this is for. Summary. Almost like overview of like what the hell happened and what's next. So welcome to all my moderators. Thank you so much for everything you do. Welcome to all my patrons as well. I hope that you got the replay from the members stream as well as the notification for this live stream. Penny Lane, thank you so much for your $3 super chat. Welcome to all my members, and of course OGs, original Grizzlies, anyone that subscribed before today. And then welcome to all the new subscribers. There's going to be people that will subscribe today as well, so welcome to you. Now, because there's going to be new people that are going to subscribe today, I just want to quickly do just a brief recap, which I also think is very important to focus on what this case is about, because we've gotten to the point in this case where all the focus is on the perpetrator. I know that he has rights. I know that he's innocent or proven guilty, but at this point, it's becoming a little bit, I don't know, I would almost call it the Ted Bundy effect, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh my word, look at Kohberger, and look at him smiling, and look at his, just everything about him, that I think sometimes it can get a bit fuzzy. People could use a reminder, what is this about? This is about the victims and their families. That's always the focus here on Grizzly True Crime. That's our laser beam focus, as I call it. If you're an OG, I've been saying that for a long time. Laser beam focus, victims and their families. We stand with them. Okay, we're not just here to gawk at Bryan Kohberger in every little move he makes, you know what I mean? Even though, of course, it's like scary to think if he's the person that's suspected of a quadruple homicide. Whoa, it's quite a sight to see, like, this guy, like, oh my word, this is what he's accused of. But he is innocent or proven guilty. We don't know that he did that yet, and I just think we need to focus on what happened here. Okay, so on November 13th of 2022 at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. It's actually on the maps Queen Road, but it's called 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, right? Quick recap for those of you who aren't too sure what this case is about. You'll be surprised. 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. It is a 3-story, 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom off-campus home. It was 0.3 miles from the Sigma Chi fraternity, 0.7 miles from the university. All 4 students were there. There's actually 5 that lived in the house, and 1 boyfriend was staying over. And I guess what gets people in this case, what's so shocking is not only were 4 students murdered in that home on November 13th of 2022, allegedly by one person, within a time frame of like 10 to 15 minutes. Not only that, but there were 2 surviving roommates, meaning they were in the house. And then there was like a long period before they called 911. They were probably sleeping, whatever it was, right? It's just like this case is a lot, but it's unheard of. I think this will be the trial of the century, honestly, right? So all 6 people in the home, including, let me move myself over a little bit, including 1 male visitor, was studying at the University of Idaho. Okay, don't worry, this recap won't be long for those of you who are very familiar with the case. I just want to make sure that we all know who this case is about. So I want to humanize the victims again, okay? Because that's what it's about. Madison Mogen, one of the victims. Oh man, she was only 21 years old. Okay? I'm going to put myself here. She was born in Eugene, Oregon, May 25th of 2001. Her mother's Karen Laramie, her stepdad Scott, and her dad Benjamin Mogen, and her stepmom's Corey Hatrock. Maddie was an only child. She moved to North Idaho when she was 2 years old. She went to Winton Elementary and then Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy, and finally to Lake City High School, where she graduated with her friend Kaylee Goncalves. Maddie was known to make people laugh, and those close to her knew not to let her get hungry. They said she got hangry. She was an incredibly hard worker and made the dean's list every year at the University of Idaho, where she was studying marketing. She worked at the Mad Greek restaurant, and so did Xana. There was a lot of speculation about that as well, that maybe someone like Kohberger could have first spotted her or them there. Welcome, Melissa Ramiro. I mean, she was so beautiful and so intelligent and had her entire life ahead of her. She loved all things pink and sparkly, tiny and cute, and that is how her family will remember her. The love of her life was her boyfriend, Jake Schreger. I can't imagine what he's going through as well. Man, and if you see the videos and interviews with her dad, because she's his baby girl, his only daughter, his only child. It's really sad. She was part of the Pi Beta Phi sorority and university, where she made a lot of friends. Welcome, Truffles. So, Madison Mogen, 21 years old, one of the 4 victims. Another one of the 4 is Kaylee Goncalves. I'm also doing this because I see there's a little bit of a pattern now where people sing-song the names, like Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, you know what I mean? No, these are real people. This is not a story or a movie. These people were brutally murdered. Okay, Kaylee Goncalves, 21. Kaylee Jade Goncalves was born in Concord, California on June 8th, 2001. She was the middle child in a big family. She had 4 siblings, Olivia, Stephen, Autumn, and Aubrey. Her mom is Christy Goncalves, and her dad is Steve Goncalves, and they were there in the courtroom yesterday. She moved to Idaho when she was 1 year old. She was a bubbly, social, funny, outgoing person who loved to prank people, play dress-up, and was very ambitious. She went to Bora Elementary School and then Charter Academy, where she met Maddie, and graduated at Lake City High School. Kaylee was studying to become an elementary school teacher. She was part of the Alpha Pi sorority at the University of Idaho. She completed an internship at a tech company and was offered a full-time job in Texas, which was set to start in February of 2023. She was going to go backpacking in January of 2023 and then start this new job in February of 2023. And this case is so shocking. She had a long-term boyfriend, Jack DeCoeur, and a Labradoodle puppy, Murphy. They were on a break at the time, so of course, the usual suspect, everybody speculated, did the boyfriend do something? Because she called him, I think, 10 times, right, very close to before when they were murdered. It's so scary. I can't imagine how he feels, thinking, that day I didn't pick up the call. It's horrible. So I hope everybody is okay. This must be, and it's already, even though it feels like the trial, like they're pushing, the state and everything, like go, we need the full throttle on. Let's get this trial going. Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, it feels like it's taken forever. You know what I mean? Thank you so much to Persnickety for joining membership. Murphy also has an Instagram page that Jack DeCoeur has launched. If I find the link, I'll share it in the description box. Many people have sent it to me as well. It's very cute. Janet, welcome as well. Xana Kernodle was born in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho on July 5th of 2002. She grew up in Post Falls, Idaho. Her dad's Jeff Kernodle, her mom is Cara Northington, and her sister Jasmine, and her brother Elijah. Xana was a talented gymnast and attended Post Falls Middle School and High School, where she played soccer, track, and volleyball, worked at Texas Roadhouse, and graduated in 2020. She was studying marketing at the University of Idaho and was part of the Pi Beta Phi sorority, same as Maddie, Dylan, and Bethany. Xana loved the outdoors, her dog Shoeshine, EDM music, and was described as a very positive, outgoing person. She always made people feel welcome, the glue that held everyone together, it seems. Xana started dating Ethan in the spring of 2022. Her dad said she changed in recent months, becoming very disciplined, responsible, and loved her life with her boyfriend and friends. Sipe, thank you so much. You said thanks for all the details on the victims. I think it's important. So please do continue, guys, to share this, represent us here at Grizzly True Crime. remind everyone what the case is about. In every case, I mean, even in the Gilgo Beach murders, for example, big focus on Rex, you know what I mean? It's becoming the Rex case. It's never the Bryan Kohberger case. Never. This is the Idaho case. Unfortunately, there were 4 victims, so it's been categorized as Idaho 4 or the Idaho student murders because there's 4 victims. It's hard to say all their names in one case, you know what I mean? But it's their case. So, Xana Kernodle, the 3rd victim, and Ethan Chapin, 20. He was born on October 29th in Seattle, Washington. He was a triplet. He was the firstborn. His mom is Stacy Chapin, his dad is Jim Chapin, and his sister is Macy, and his brother's Hunter. He grew up on Olympia in Summit Lake and then moved to Conway, where he attended Conway School, playing soccer, basketball, and running cross country. Very active, very fit, whole life ahead of him. He attended Mount Vernon High School. Due to COVID, his school year was cut short, so he and his siblings worked at Hills Resort in Idaho and then at Tulip Town in Mount Vernon. So if you've seen the tributes for Ethan, he's like planting these, his friends planted these massive gardens full of tulip flowers, which is obviously so beautiful. I live in the Netherlands, which is known as Holland to many people. It's just an abundant tulip land. It's so beautiful. So I just love seeing that. And most of the flowers I think were yellow that they planted for him as well. Sweet tea and sunflowers, welcome to Grizzly supporter. In August of 2021, Ethan and his siblings enrolled at the University of Idaho, where Ethan joined the Sigma Chi fraternity, the one that was so close to the house. He loved golf, surfing, volleyball, and staying fit and active. He was kind, friendly, and always smiling. Oh man, it is such a great loss. When you actually, I don't know if you guys can feel it. I get like, it's almost goosebumps, but it's more like dread. You just feel like there's shock and sadness all over again. You know, when we just think about who these victims are and what happened to them, how terrifying that even is. That somebody entered the house without, there's no sign of forced entry. So maybe through the sliding door or, I don't know, through a window. We've speculated a lot of things, right? The ladder and all sorts of things, but entered the home in the middle of the night and brutally murdered all 4 of them. That is so scary. So we're going to get to the court proceedings summary in a moment here. I just wanted to show you on November 13th, 2022, between 3 and 4 a.m., who was in the house that we know of. Maddie and Kaylee were actually in Maddie's room. That's where they were found. And the knife sheath, which is the big piece of evidence that had a microscopic bit of DNA on the button snap, okay, was found right under Maddie's body. And I mean, that is so strange, you know, that was found there and with the DNA on it. And we're going to talk about the DNA in a moment. But yes, Maddie and Kaylee were found in Maddie's room. And then on the middle floor, there was the living room. And Xana and Ethan were found in the room on the right-hand side there. And then DM, one of the survivors, actually saw a suspect walking out. Very tall, bushy eyebrows, clad in black. Rexy says, and thank you for being a member for 12 months. Oh my word. Happy Grizzlyversary. You say, love being part of this group. So the 2 surviving roommates, DM, it's Dylan and Bethany, but sometimes we like to, especially in the beginning, we like to just use their initials, but I guess now everyone knows who they are. Dylan and Bethany, they are the surviving roommates. They also got matching tattoos to honor their friends, and I just can't imagine what they're going through either. Again, I give them the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people love to throw them under the bus and say the worst about them, and no, we just don't do that here. Obsessed for Disneyland says, love you, G. Thank you for being the true crime rock star that you are. Oh, thank you so much. So I think that's it for my summary for now. Let me just see the next slide quickly. Oh yeah, on November 12th of 2022, this was literally a picture that Kaylee posted less than 24 hours before all of them were murdered, as in the 4, right? So who was murdered? I've circled their faces over here. Can you believe it? And Kaylee said, one lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day. That was her last social media post. Oh man. I don't know who took the picture. People always say who took the picture. Could be a tripod for all we know. Okay, so the rest of this presentation we've done a deep dive on before. It is on my playlist if you do want to see the rest of that. I'm sure you'll find it interesting as well. I did a whole thing of what don't we know. Not just what do we know, what don't we know. And what type of killer this person would be. If we have some time later, we can look at it just to see what we said. Were we in any way correct or not, you know, in our speculations of what type of killer would this be. We've also had criminal profiler John Kelly on many times during this case, so check out those episodes where he also gave a lot of his thoughts. Sweet Tea and Sunflower says, "You are awesome, Source G. I'm an OG." Just became official. Thank you for becoming an official OG, original Grizzly. Okay, so now let me bring this presentation up for you. Now I've tried my very best to summarize what happened yesterday for you. I was in the WFLA chat a little bit, meaning in the live chat. If you guys don't see me live with proceedings like that, it's because I'm probably lurking over there, where I'm in many chats. You'll see me there, and I love it when Grizzlies are there. You guys all share the bear emoji, and we all say hi to each other. It was very nice to see you there, but as you could see yesterday, there were long breaks because the footage, it wasn't live streamed. It was pre-filmed. Court TV had the rights to the cameras in the courtroom, and they released the footage in a delayed way, right? That's what they were allowed to do. Film, release. So it's like part 1 was released. East Idaho News, I saw, released part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. MB Inc., who's also a YouTuber and a friend here at Grizzly True Crime, also has released part 1, 2, and 3. Very nice, easy to watch, so go check that out too over there. So if you want to watch the whole proceeding, there's many places to do so. That's not what we're going to do here today. I've watched it, and I'm just going to bring you the summary, because I think a lot of you guys are like me, that you like the bullet points, the summaries, and just to know what is what, okay? Jenai says, the best channel by far, keep rocking, G. Thank you so much. And before I get started, just a reminder that I am not a lawyer, okay? I have no legal experience. I'm just watching. Like you guys, some of you are actually lawyers. Welcome to all the attorneys in the chat. For me, I'm just watching, representing, I guess, the public, We're the international public. We're like potential jurors. And we're just watching, what is this all about? What is going on? And I'm bringing you the summary today. Because I was really trying to figure that all out. So what happened? What didn't happen? Okay, so Renee says, "Gee, your work ethic and compassion for victims shine throughout your channel. Thank you for what you do." Thank you so much, Renee. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to buy some tea with that. Is it boba or Earl Grey? We just don't know. Thank you so much. So again, I put on my slide a reminder of who the victims are. Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves. So I believe Kaylee Goncalves' aunt was in the courtroom. I'm showing you this for a reason. I'll tell you now. She was in the courtroom as well, wearing a pro firing squad shirt, which people are like, oh damn, is she allowed to wear that in the courtroom? I guess so. So I just want to show you, these are the types of pictures that you see. I know that Kohberger's on my thumbnail. I get it. Everybody wants to see the updates, of course, with him, but we need to remember to focus on the victims. But yeah, these are the types of camera shots they get, and the little gel hair and all that. I know he's innocent till proven guilty. I also know that his fly is not fully up in this picture, just so you know. And I definitely, I do, especially, I know he's innocent till proven guilty, but if he's found guilty, yeah, we're going to snark it right up, because I do get snarky about killers. I do not glorify them in any way. I want to give them cool names and things like that. Of course, they get names, like my books, Ted Bundy, the Campus Killer, and all of these. That's how people know them. But here we snark it up, okay? So, yeah, his fly is not up, in case you didn't notice that. So he's all in his gray suit, but there you go. Okay, he's entered the courtroom and he's smiling because that's appropriate. Yes, let's smile at everyone. He apparently smiled and smirked at Chanley Painter. Chanley Painter, the reporter, and she's also an attorney for Court TV. Yeah, apparently he was smiling at her and the lady next to her like, hey, like, oh no. So again, what evidence do they even have? I just tried to remind us all again, because it seems like it's all up in the air. You know what I mean? People are like, ooh, the DNA could be thrown out, but what do they have? Well, it's only what we know. We might know between 10 and 50% now. That's when I asked Peter Tragos, the lawyer, how much do we, the public, know now about the case? And he said, maybe 50%. So even if we only know 50%, based on the probable cause affidavit and everything that's come out since, we know that there was DNA found on the button snap of the knife sheath, which could also be on the inside, as it clips closed there. A little microscopic bit of DNA. And the big question, and it is a valid question, is how did the prosecution, how did the state get to Kohberger? That's what the defense wants to know. That's fine. You've proven now, okay, that's a match, and it's 5.37 octillion times more likely to be Kohberger's DNA than anyone else. But how did you get to him? And what they did was they took that DNA, okay, they found there's an unknown male DNA. Then they put it in some genealogy websites. They haven't named which, right? But they put it in some, and that's why all these experts were talking yesterday for the defense. It's the defense's strongest case. They can't say that's not his DNA because they've said it is. But they want to pick apart, which is their job, how did you get to it? So they plugged in the information into these genealogy sites. They built some family trees. They found some relatives of this DNA. They then tracked that to Pennsylvania. They staked out the house, okay? Then they took the trash from the house, put that into the lab, tested it, and it was a 99.999% match to be that suspect's father. So then they went in there with probable cause. They arrested Bryan Kohberger. I think it was on, what was it? December 29th, right? I remember it was just before the turn of the new year. We were all like, what? Within 49 days, they found the suspect. They arrested Bryan Kohberger. Then they did a buccal swab, and that proved to be a match to the DNA on the button snap. So you could see the defense's issue is, how did you get to Kohberger? Because all you had was a white Elantra, which they actually told the public a wrong year model, but you had some white Elantra on surveillance. You have this unknown male DNA on the button snap, and there's also 3 other unknown male DNAs at the house. They don't say specifically in which room or where. Actually, they said 1 was on a glove that was found outside, and then 2 in the house. So they're saying, well, what about those? Why don't you test those? They said those weren't uploaded into the CODA system. They were not, I can't remember the wording. We'll get to it. I think it's on my slide here. But, and thank you so much, Denise and Kerry. Happy Saturday, everyone. They weren't able to upload it there. I don't think it was strong enough or something like that. We'll look at it now. But so we have the white Elantra. We have the DNA on the button snap. We have cell phone. The fact that, Kohberger's cell phone pinged in the area, which people could also argue, that could be unreliable. Wait till the FBI's CAST team comes in and shows how they can actually pinpoint things, as we saw, for example, in the Burgos Aviles trial. This is going to be a huge trial. Whew, oh my word. So they say he was around the house 12 times before this even happened, and even on the day it happened. My biggest thing, one of the biggest things, is like, what that drive he did afterwards. Is he just buying groceries in surgical gloves? However many miles, I can't remember. It was a long journey, like an hour to an hour and a half drive. We drove it and flew it. It's all on the map time we've done before. But you know how sometimes, like we saw in the Bleefnick trial, remember Tim Bleefnick, if you watched that with me? He turned his watch and his cell phone off at a specific time. And that proved to be like a gap in his timeline that was so circumstantial. I think in this case, it's also like, damn, he turned his phone off at exactly those times. That's interesting. And then we have a description of this male with very bushy eyebrows clad in black leaving. Okay? Now, that's a little vague, but if you put it all together, it's interesting if we only know 10 to 50%, right? So I'm very excited for the trial to see what more we'll learn. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot. I'm sure we're going to hear from those surviving roommates as well, and many other witnesses. Imagine all the frat boys and everyone at the university that may have run over to the house and been called and been like, what is going on here? All of that. Ray, welcome to Grizzly supporter. Ellie B from Tennessee says, thank you, G, for all you do to keep us updated on these cases. Your channel is by far the best out there. Thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. I really appreciate it. Okay, so to continue on, I'm just going to remind us all that DNA is 5.37 octillion times more likely to be Kohberger's DNA than anyone else. That's a good reminder, just to keep the focus a little bit. So now, what happened yesterday? August 18th of 2023, there were 6 motions that they were going to argue, okay? 6 motions. 2 for the defense, 4 for the state. That's the plan. I think they didn't get to like 2 of them. That's why I'm still trying to figure out which one did they not get to, because it ran so late. It started at 10:30, and they just argued the defendant's 3rd motion to compel all the way to 3 p.m. And I just saw, Chanley Painter, and then someone from East Idaho News, or not East Idaho, yeah, from News Nation, also talking and be like, damn, we're still busy with that motion. I'm like, whoa, at 3 o'clock? Oh my word, quite hectic. Carla Newell says, if they were picking apart the genealogy and they explained how it was him, why would the DA use this in their defense? Wouldn't it make the argument look worse, especially with 23andMe and Ancestry? Right? I don't know, Carla. But and they haven't made a decision, by the way, I'll get there now, on this whole contentious DNA topic. So the 2 motions were the defendant's 3rd motion to compel, basically asking, hey, state from the defense, can you please give us more information, everything you can, about everything that happened in that lab? Who communicated with who? How did you get it? How did you work it? What did you do? All of that. They want all the info, okay, of how they got to Kohberger, basically. And then there was a motion to stay, which was like, put the brakes on everything, pause, time out, okay, delay this trial. That was denied. So what does that mean for us, you guys? Oh, damn. The trial is set to start on October 2nd. That's 44 days from now. Like, when they're like, 6 weeks from now, that it might even sound like, 6 weeks from now, 44 days. And jury selection will start a week before. It's quite hectic, right? Okay. Chelsea says, does anyone know if G's planning on airing the hearing from yesterday? No, I will not put you through that again. I think many of you watched it. We were there on WFLA and everywhere. Court TV, East Idaho News, all the ones. We looked at it, and I'm bringing you the summary. So that's what this is, okay? This is a summary of yesterday. For anyone joining now, please like and share if you do like this type of stuff, because I do like making it for you. I definitely like to bring summaries, because if I was in your shoes, oh damn, I appreciate this kind of thing. I'm always like, give me the summary. Take one for the team. Okay, yeah. 44 days until the trial. Today, at the time of recording, which is August 19th of 2023, 44 days until trial. Like, what? Are we ready? Make sure you subscribe. We're going to definitely be looking at whatever we can. I don't think it'll be live streamed. Nope. They're going to have the delayed footage probably. And if the cameramen don't behave, I hope they won't stop the cameras, because they were very naughty yesterday. Very naughty. There was apparently arguments going on. Between the court staff and the cameramen. One cameraman, apparently, they asked, don't zoom in on Kohberger. Don't zoom in and put it out there for everyone to analyze every little facial expression he has. And that camera person was like, ooh, he's zooming in. And they're like, excuse me. So, yeah, they better behave. Otherwise, the public will not be able to see the trial at all. They were going to end up with a Lori Vallow situation and hear only audio, which I don't know if we want that, right? We want to see what's going on in there. Okay, so the state argued that everything they plan to use in the trial has been turned over to the defense, and that the process of how they got to Kohberger simply doesn't matter, since investigators later confirmed the lead by matching a cheek swab from the suspect to the sample from the crime scene. Now, I think that's where many people disagree and think it's very, very shady, because, like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? And again, this is for the state now, right? The state's like, it doesn't matter how we got there and it proves it's his DNA. But how did you get there? And that is really, the judge is going to have a lot to consider. They say the judge will consider arguments heard in court and issue a written ruling at a later date. So they were like, okay, I've heard everything. Get back to you later, because it's such a huge thing. I mean, imagine if they throw out the DNA evidence because they did some shady things by... See, what is the shadiness? It's going to these genealogy sites, finding family members and things, finding little loopholes, ways in that you can actually see those relatives of this DNA. And maybe those relatives didn't consent to law enforcement peering in. It's something like that, right? They said it actually might... wait, I've got a note here. It could be against their own protocol. Oh man, so many papers. Hold on. There we go. They say Gabriela Vargas, one of the experts for the defense, said law enforcement obtained the results in ways prohibited by terms of use and by their own policies. So that's what we got there. I hope you guys can hear me okay. CB says he trimmed his eyebrows. Did you notice? Yeah, from the first time he was in court. He did, even there you could see it. Which is quite a strategy for the jury. If they say, this guy walked out and he had very bushy eyebrows. And now the jury, potential jury, right? In the future, the jury looks at him and they're like, he doesn't have bushy eyebrows. Interesting. He's getting those eyebrows trimmed somehow. So, yes, those were the two motions from the defense that were argued yesterday. Biggest one, 10:30 a.m. till 3 p.m. was the defendant's third motion to compel, and there wasn't even an outcome decided on that yesterday. That was basically just like, okay, I've heard everything, I get back to you. Okay, so there are deadlines for everything, and we're going to break that down as well. And the motion to stay was denied. So let me just see my next slide here. I think I've broken that down for you as well. The motion to stay, what was that all about? Now, why? And I thought that was a bit of a weak argument. I thought it would be denied because they said the following. The defense said they filed a motion to stay, and it was about the grand jury indictment. Okay, they wanted basically to throw that out. Why? Because they said, remember when they asked for all the stuff about the grand jury indictment? Give us everything, state. They got the things, and then they found these three events that happened that they were not happy about. And they're like, okay, motion to stay. One was that one of the grand jurors ticked a box that they do not comprehend English. The state came back and said, well, they filled in the rest of the form in English, so obviously they just ticked the wrong box. Then They also said one of the jurors disclosed that they were a prior criminal defendant. And the state said only those with felony criminal convictions are disqualified from serving on a grand jury. And the third one was one did not mark that whether they were a prior criminal defendant, and they didn't sign or affirm that they had truthful responses. And the state came back and said an incomplete form is not a violation of the act. So their motion to stay, which was basically to put the brakes on, which they should do because this is a death penalty case. So in defending their client, Bryan C. Kohberger, put the brakes on as much as possible. Like, a lot of people are like, why are the defense doing this? Why are they annoying everyone? They're doing their jobs. I think they're doing a good job. But this argument I thought would maybe be a little bit weak and would be denied. Because I'm like, I don't know. It's like admin errors, you know what I mean? Jean Davis says, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for these recaps. Really appreciate it. Katie says, I never thought his brows were bushy. Right? Even from older pictures. I don't know, man. Maybe bushy brows. Okay. So then the judge denied the defense's motion to stay proceedings, which again means the trial will start at this point. There's still pre-trial final hearings and all kinds of things still happening before then. It's 44 days to go. We'll see now the deadlines. But so far the trial is set to start on October 2nd of 2023 with jury selection starting 1 week before. And the judge said he's going to have how did he word it? Like a pool of 1,000 jurors to sift through to find his jury pool, right? 1,000 of them. Summoning 1,000 jurors. That's what they said. Okay. So, and of course, in summoning 1,000 potential jurors, they would have to indicate that they're okay with the death penalty. Yes? Okay. That's Judge John Judge. I put his name there again because that's his name. Judge. Okay, so then the defense, because of that motion to compel, which was all about arguing why the state needs to give them more information, they brought on some very experienced witnesses, okay, which was Stephen Mercer, who's a criminal defense attorney and specializes in everything related to DNA and genealogy. There was also Dr. Leah Larkin, a genetic genealogist, Gabriela Vargas, also genetic genealogist, and Bika Barlow is one of the defense attorneys, and he also argued about that the motion to stay at the end. But those three expert witnesses talking about the DNA, that's what took up majority of the day, as you know. Panda Place says, congrats, G, on the growth of your channel. Keep up the amazing work. As a South African, we are extra proud of you. Thank you so much. Stay as lovely and classy as you are. Thank you so much. If you guys didn't know, I am South African, living in the Netherlands, which you might know as Holland. Okay, now, Alex Caprariello. I don't know if that's how you say it in America, but that's how I would say it. It seems like an Italian surname. He did an excellent job of tweeting out so many details. If you are on Twitter, which is now called X, but it's still twitter.com, it's a little confusing right now. But the point is, if you are there on that app, okay, my handle is @TrueCrimeGizzler. And Alex, who is a News Nation correspondent, was there by tweeting out everything. I mean, Chanley Painter was also there, also tweeting out on the Court TV profile, because they were in the courtroom, right? But man, he gave a lot of details. So if you want to read through all of that, if you prefer maybe reading to watching all the proceedings, then that could also be good, right? Amy says, can you confirm the state don't plan on using the DNA? I don't know. I can't confirm that. They don't plan. Oh, you mean of the other 3 unidentified males? Yeah. Yes. They said they're not using that, which is interesting. So Alex said, now talking DNA profiles, an aspect that Barlow believes is missing in the Bryan Kohberger case. There are 3 other unidentified male profiles that are missing from the defense's files. Barlow says she doesn't know if those profiles were uploaded to the proper genetic database. Thompson interjects and says the 3 unidentified and male samples were not qualified to be uploaded to the database. So that's the way to word that. That's what I was looking for earlier. Not qualified to be uploaded to the database. Defense says that's the first time she's hearing this. Thompson does not seem pleased and says that's a mischaracterization. So the judge says he'll make a decision about the DNA testing today. I assume that means he'll do what he has done in the past, which is issue a written decision later after reviewing both arguments in private. So that is what happened. They said They said that the judge said he'll make a decision on that later. Later, they said witness excused, judge trying to clarify what evidence the defense has and what it does not. The defense says it has some emails, but not all emails and attachments. Solution, the defense wants the judge to order that it goes to the defense. The judge wonders aloud if it actually does exist. Oh, man. So, Bill Thompson, the state, just said, Judge, we can't give them what doesn't exist. They're asking for something that doesn't exist. Interesting. Jack Green, welcome to Grizzly supporter. Then Alex also said the defense says it brought these 4 witnesses in today to prove to the judge that there's so much more out there when it comes to genetic genealogy that the defense does not have. The defense says it's having to fight so hard for everything and feels suspicious. And I mean, then of course the public's like, that's very, very shady. Which I understand. The DNA topic is the most debated, most contentious topic, also because it's the most compelling evidence that we know that they have. Okay, so, sorry, CT, I'm trying to put your message on the screen. You say, member for 8 months, another milestone with Grizzly True Crime. Happy Grizzlyversary. So, the defense says that it cannot articulate to the judge how the prosecution got to naming its client as the suspect because they don't have all the information out there. So, yep, we'll see. I wonder what the judge will decide eventually. Okay, so the state had 4 motions to argue, which was the motion for a protective order, and that was basically to say, well, we can't hand over everything about the labs and the communication and all the DNA stuff, right? Because they want to protect the relatives that they found of Kohbergers. They want to protect the people that work in the lab and everything, so that's the motion for the protective order. Then they also had a motion to compel, which was more alibi info that they wanted. And there's been a deadline for that, which actually says if there's an actual alibi, this is required by September 8th. Okay? Yeah. First one says, the state always says what they don't have, they can't give. But during the trial, for some reason, it appears. Right? Okay. Then they also had this motion for a speedy trial and saying the defendant has a right to a speedy trial, and they're going full throttle and the defense putting on the brakes. Layman's terms is how I would say it, right? Which makes sense, again, because it's a death penalty case. Wayne says, I'm counting the days to the trial, just 43 more sleeps. I mean, and you guys know how it goes. We'll be there in no time. We'll be like, oh my word, we thought it was like yesterday, right? Okay, so then they also discussed deadlines or scheduling, which I'm going to go over now with you. They said the final pre-trial hearings, the final ones, will happen on September 29th. Yes? So let's look at these deadlines that they've now set. The judge now discussing deadlines. We are now 6 weeks away from trial, or 44 days. Deadlines for completion of discovery is September 1st. The deadline for expert disclosures is September 8th. If there's an actual alibi, required by September 8th. If you missed the episode where we broke down Kohberger's alibi, the alibi that they provided, oh man, the defense, they're quite snarky, huh? Because the defense was getting ready for a preliminary hearing, which is the usual process. Preliminary hearing, then the judge decides it's going to trial or not, from my understanding. But what happened was the state decided in the meantime to have a secret grand jury indictment. Now, the word secret doesn't really need to be there because grand jury indictments are always secret. But they had a grand jury indictment, and so there was no pretrial hearing, which the defense were all ready for. They were going to bring their own witnesses on. I think one of the surviving roommates was going to be there too. And they were ultra prepared, and they're like, what? Suddenly, they had the rug pulled out from under them. And they're like, nope, sorry, grand jury indictment, this is going to trial. So then they said, well, Kohberger has got an alibi. So then the state's like, what is this alibi? And this went back and forth, lots of paperwork, so much paperwork, oh my word, in this case. A mountain of paperwork, of course. I mean, one would expect it, but damn. So then the defense came back and said, okay, his alibi was that he liked to drive around alone at night. And that's exactly what he did on November 12th and 13th. Yeah, he just liked driving. So now the judges said, if there's an alibi, you got to provide an actual alibi to say, where were you driving? The state said, okay, we can accept your alibi that you like driving around, but you got to say where you were driving that night. And so the deadline, if there's more information or anyone who can corroborate where he was at that time, is required by September 8th. Now, there's also, let me add, there's like driving around alone at night or whatever. Oh, that's fine, whatever, very vague. But what about going back to the house the next morning? Remember that? Why would he drive past the house again the next morning at like 9 in the morning? Why would he drive that whole route that he did and try to buy something with surgical gloves on? It's a bit odd, you know? So there's all of that. And then the defense was saying, well, you did this. You didn't want the pretrial hearing, so that's our alibi. So it's very interesting to watch. The deadline for pretrial motions, including those related to the death penalty, is September 8th as well. So you can see lots of things for September 8th is the deadline, right? Then there's a deadline for responses to the motions, which is September 15th. There's a deadline for proposed jury questionnaires, which is September 18th. There's a deadline for proposed witnesses under Rules 16b6 and c3, September 15th. Deadline for Rule 404b notices, September 15th. And the court will hear all the motions on September 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that's something to diarize. September 22nd, 10 a.m. I mean, along the way, I'm sure we'll see a whole bunch of documents. So that's something to look out for as well. If there's anything interesting, of course, I'll bring it to you. But so the court's going to hear all the motions, which will be another day, probably like today. And they're starting at 10 a.m. I wonder why they didn't start at like 8, because they're going to need as much time as possible. And then the jury selection, September 25th, 26th, 27th, possibly more. Yeah, probably more. And then the final pretrial conference is September 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Trial, October 2nd, beginning at 8:30 a.m. That is such a big day. Whoa, all the way to November 17th. That is a long trial. From October 2nd all the way to November 17th. So I don't know what you guys are doing in October and November, but I know what I'll be doing. I'll be here with you. T3 says, trying to explain why he's driving around the crime scene doesn't fly. I mean, all of that, right? Dear Ray says, not framed, one of his... That's actually not true. This is not true. That was already debunked, that one of the IDs belonging to the victims was found. That was debunked by documents and evidence, and what they said was there. That was just mainstream media clickbait, honestly. But still, there's a lot of evidence against him, yes. Okay. That's true. Bonbon says there's absolutely no serial killer groupies in here. We want justice for the victims, and BK is not a serial killer. Yeah, at best, he's innocent till proven guilty, but a wannabe serial killer, we could say. We don't know, though, if there's any other cases connected to him or anything like that. But yes, this is about the victims and their families. So you guys are saying, Aaron says, I'll be here with you, G, if you are streaming it. Remember, we won't be allowed to stream it. It won't be live, but we will have delayed footage. So I guess I'll be on Moscow, Idaho time, because imagine a whole day of trial and then delayed footage. That's going to be like 4 in the morning for me as a start. My sleep cycle will be thrown for a loop again. I've only just gotten out of Laredo, okay? Angela said, hi, Grizzly, absolutely love watching you. Hi, Mars, you're also amazing. Thank you so much. And yes, thank you, Mars, for all you do. So you got all the dates down, you guys? Take a screenshot if you need to. I think that's my full presentation. So Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves. Those are the victims' names. Remember them. Share their pictures. This is about them and getting justice for them. And of course, Kohberger he has the right to a fair trial. He's innocent to proven guilty. I hope that with what feels almost like a bit of a rush type of attitude from the state, like, no, we need to go. We need to just get this to trial now. I hope that everybody's prepared, the state and the defense, that it's a proper, fair trial, no mistrial, no funny business, and that there can be true justice for the victims, whatever that may look like. Okay. Dolly Daydream says, put all the dates in my diary. You sound like me. That's what I do. And I do it old school. I write it down, like in a literal paper diary. Yes, I was born in 1984, okay? So that's what we have now. I just quickly want to show you this one again, which I did tell you would. Over here, look, we went over everything here. Some last social media posts. We were looking at that just to see, well, is there anything that we could learn from this? Maddie on Instagram on November 12th of 2022. Maddie on TikTok on October 31st of 2022. Kaylee on Instagram on November 12th of 2022. And Xana on Instagram on October 29th of 2022. Man, look at that picture. It's so nice. Kaylee on TikTok on October 30th of 2022. And by November 13th of 2022, you see that picture posted on November 12th? Less than 24 hours later, 4 out of the 6 in that picture would be brutally murdered. It's terrible. Okay, I'll get to some of your comments in a moment. So we were looking at trackable apps like BeReal or Snapchat. The timeline of what we don't know, who's been cleared. There's a lot of debate, of course, that goes on and on for months online, which I understand. Everybody wants the right guy to be caught and for there to be justice. I get on any side of the argument, that's what people are about. Everybody wants justice for the victims. So, okay, everybody except a tiny percentage who are like, justice for Kohberger. No. Unless he's truly innocent or proven guilty, we shall wait and see. Okay. So we've gone over who's been cleared. We've gone over the Brent Kopaka theory as well. This is something, I just want to show you this because it's from way back, right? Many months ago where we said the longer time goes on, the more likely it is that the killer is someone not in the immediate circle of the victims, which is similar to the Rachel Moren case we just saw as well, right? All DNA collected would already be tested and in the system. The toxicology reports should be available around December 25th to January 8th, maybe delayed due to the holiday season. DNA testing may be tricky based on it being a college or party house, so clearing everyone would take a while. And that's still my point. The fact that they say there's 3 unknown male DNA found in the house, I'm like, 3? I thought there'd be like 300 with the amount of people that live there, party there, in and out there. 3 unknown. Okay. 1 on a glove outside and 2 somewhere in the house as well. Carrie Summer says, I love all of your recaps because it's a lot of info to process. Thank you so much. And I'm really just bringing you the summary today. If you guys want to go watch the whole hearing, there's many places to watch it, as I say. Court TV, Law and Crime Network, WFLA, East Idaho News, all the mainstream media, they've got the footage. And then we've also got YouTuber MB Inc., who's uploaded part 1, 2, 3, and he's going to upload part 4 as well, if you want to check it out there and show him some support too. So I said, what if this is a sadistic killer? Possibly a sadistic sexual predator, a fantasy killer, and someone who we do not yet have a name or face for yet. Because at this point, we were looking at, okay, what about Jack, the food truck guy, the frat boys, that just everything. Speculating responsibly. There is such a thing. By saying, this guy is definitely the killer. That's not it. That ruins lives. But you can look in someone's orbit and be like, well, that's interesting, right? We can think, but not accuse. Angela, welcome to Grizzly Supporter. And so that's what turned out, that's what happened. We didn't know who Bryan Kohberger was. It was a huge shock. Do you guys remember? And oh my word, what a spectacle when they were transporting him in the freaking jet, taking him from Pennysylvania. And then remember all of that. Tracking his flight and just like, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? So it's much easier to blame the boyfriend, the roommates, the friends, the co-workers, the people that we can see in the food truck video, the neighbors, etc., than to think that this is someone who silently entered a home at night and brutally killed 4 young adults. And I say the same in the Rachel Moren case. It's much easier for one's mind to process, okay, but obviously someone they knew, right? Someone that knew them and they got like jealous or they got upset or whatever it is, that's easier to process than, holy crap, this is a total stranger who stalked this house without them knowing. Somebody watching them, watching the house, possibly premeditating all of this, it seems so based on what we know, and executing the most horrible, brutal murder here in this case. That is so scary. Okay, so we're moving on here. What would a stranger's possible motives be? Sexual and obsession with one or more of the victims, still possible. Sexual and rejection or abandonment. So sexual and rejection. Abandonment, rage, rejection led to revenge, etc. An incel, a stalker, a delusional lover, something like that could be. Fantasy killer could be as well. If it is Kohberger, although he's innocent or proven guilty, I'll never stop saying that because that's just how it is. He is. But, okay, if it is him, I mean, studying as a, PhD criminal justice student and under Dr. Catherine Ramsland and just the material he studied and how well he did and all of that, you just don't know if it would be like, you know what, I'm gonna fantasize about being like, I don't know, committing the perfect crime or something. He said he allegedly said he's eager to be exonerated, which is quite odd if he said that, because it means convicted, then exonerated, which is interesting. Which is also why people look at him like, whoa, well, like, what's he got up his sleeve? And he's got this very strong defense team. So that's very interesting. And someone says it's very terrifying. It is very terrifying to think of the stranger, right? So could be mental illness, maybe hallucinatory, external voices told them. Okay, it doesn't seem so in this case. Substance abuse, mental illness, loss of sense of reality, power hungry. We're speculating a whole bunch of things. Who could this be, right? The trial date is October 2nd of 2023, for those of you asking. What could we look out for in someone who could do this? Physically strong? I don't know. Do you guys think he's physically strong? I mean, he must have been, actually. Very fit. He ran at night. Apparently he also ran at night. Never mind driving around at night alone. He went for these runs at night. Because one guy, we saw the clip, like a friend from the university said, oh, we used to go for runs at night. Okay, very interesting. So physically strong, I guess he was very fit. And if he really is the only suspect in this, that he is so far, right? And if he is convicted, damn, then I guess, yeah. May be prone to abuse or harm animals, that we don't know. All that we know is he's vegan. D's Creative Hands Crochet says best true crime channel on YouTube, period. Thank you so much, D. I really appreciate it. And so we also said it may have a knife collection. Turned out it seems so. And although when they listed the knives on the search warrant from his parents' house, I mean, that could really be a butter knife for all we know. Some of them that they listed. But seems to. May dwell on fantasies of murder or violence. May even be a PhD criminal justice student. Yeah, lurking, hiding in plain sight. Very likely to have suffered severe trauma in childhood that we don't know anything about yet. Likely a loner. Yup, sounds like that, based on everything we've heard. May have just lost their job or college tuition or failed. That's interesting, huh? Because we were speculating about that, and his college, the teacher's assistant job was really on the rocks at that time. There was a lot of pressure, and he applied for an internship at the police department, and they did not pick him. They allegedly picked 2 other women over him, which all of those factors could have been stressors for him. Not that we really care about stressors for the killer, but it's something to consider psychologically, right? May have recently been released from being incarcerated for violent crimes. Okay, no, we don't know that. Okay, may have had a recent loss of a significant relationship. We're also not sure about that. And may literally be a serial killer. Still don't know about that as well. Okay, so that's what we looked at in the past, and it's just interesting sometimes to look back. And then, whoever he is, whoever they are, whoever she is, whatever this is, they will eventually be caught. And they did arrest someone within 49 days. Yes. Of this crime occurring at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. And this house is going to be demolished. Which, I don't know, the state said they have no problem with it. They're saying the way that they've cleaned everything inside and, looked at all the evidence and all, it means the jury won't get an accurate view of how it was in any case. I still think, in my personal opinion, that keeping the house just as is so that the jury could potentially do a walkthrough is a good idea, so they can understand even the acoustics of the house and, just the layout without looking, and maybe they're going to make some really cool presentations for all we know. Yeah, Becky Barnes says 49 days is quick. So, yes, that's what I have for you today. I just want to see if there's anything else quickly. I think we've gone over everything that I wanted to for you. Yeah. Sure, that was a mouthful. Okay. Lorraine says, excellent recap, G, as always. Thank you, Lorraine. You are an OG. You were there from beginning days. Like less than 500 subscribers, I think. You were there. Okay. So, yes, Sunshine says he was also... Sorry, I'm struggling to put the messages up here. Sometimes YouTube glitches out a little bit, especially if the chat's going fast. Sunshine says he was also drawing attention to himself at his school regarding his negative attitude. Tons of evidence. There's that as well. And the way that he was treating women, apparently. And these are his students that actually came forward and said, like, he was mansplaining and he was a misogynist and he was being mean to them and grading them terribly. And then suddenly, after the murders, gave her 100%. Ooh, that's scary. Even that change in behavior. And sometimes he would talk along with them about these murders. That is also quite scary. We see that. I mean, we've heard about Rex Heuermann in the Gilgo Beach murders being like, so, have you heard about it, and wanting to talk about it? But how scary is it to think that he was a teacher's assistant, criminal justice PhD student, and talking with the students about it. Sure. Okay. So I look forward to reading all your comments. Leave some comments below. Make sure you like and share the video. Hashtag Idaho4 is a hashtag that people still use, or Idaho students. You can also use the hashtags of each victim's name. Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, hashtag Ethan Chapin, hashtag Xana Kernodle. You can use all of those. You can use Grizzly True Crime as well. And of course, Bryan Kohberger. Bryan Kohberger is actually trending on Twitter, or X as it's called now, today. Of course it is, And I think there'll be a lot more articles and media coverage probably from Monday. I think the hearing was, on a Friday, and then it went so late, and then everyone went home. So I think everyone's like resting today. That's just how it works generally with these articles, mainstream media and things like that. So we're probably going to see a lot more on Monday as well, and more little clips and more things. So if there's anything more to add, I will bring it to you. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell so you don't miss a notification. I know that almost every YouTuber says that, and it might annoy the crap out of you. Whenever YouTubers say what I'm watching, I'm like, hit the bell. Yes, I've hit the bell. But it's for you. Just remember, you're not doing that for me. It's for you. If you hit the bell, you get the notification so that you don't miss out on live streams or uploads or shorts or community posts or anything like that. Palm Tree Lover says, will the trial be televised? Yes, but not live streamed. So far, yes. They will be filming it. I think Court TV will have the rights to the cameras, and then there'll be like satellite streams that goes to other mainstream media outlets. And so we'll have delayed footage. They'll be filming it and then dishing it out. So there'll be delayed footage. Probably they might even do, when they do the morning session and then lunch break, they might even film the morning session, release, and then there's the lunch break, right? And when they come back, release the other bit later. That could be quite good as well if they do that. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you enjoy this episode. I know it's a grim topic. I think we know what to focus on. We know what to share. And I hope that you have a happy weekend. I might see you again very soon. There's lots to talk about always. So many things to talk about. True crime really never sleeps. It's quite scary. Lots of cases as well. So thank you so much. I'm going to re-watch the live chat replay now. Okay, so just to see what I missed. Because sometimes when I'm focusing here, I miss a lot of what you guys are saying. And I love reading it later again and just seeing what you all said. So thank you so much. If you joined membership today, please check out the members only playlist. Because we had a members only stream last night. Well, for my time last night. Afternoon for some of you. So go and check that out. You might just want to see what we discussed over there. Members only playlist, okay? All right, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.